Series, we hope for some drama. We had plenty of that in the first test in Chennai, India going on to win by 8 wickets. So just give us your overview of the first test, as of course you were there for us.
Well, John, I think India enjoyed a good victory, and when I say good victory, it's in the sense that they haven't had a very good last couple of years. Obviously, they won the series against New Zealand, but again, when you talk about Test cricket nowadays, it's all about beating the top teams. And England and Australia are the two top teams, along with South Africa and probably Pakistan and Sri Lanka. So these are 5-6 teams there which are at the top of the Test cricket ladder. And against Australia, England, India have really struggled in the last couple of seasons. Australia themselves are on a bit of a downturn. They're rebuilding, but again, they're very strong at. And just because they're missing Ricky Ponting and Michael Hussey, probably that's the reason why they have a very weakened batting lineup this time around on tour. But still, they are a top side, an aggressive side. So yes, it's a very good win for Indian cricket in that particular context. They did win against England at Ahmedabad as well. I thought that was a better win because it came on a tougher pitch. But then again, that series went downhill from there onwards. So there is a case for marking against complacency in this particular Test series. As far as talking the details about this particular match at Chennai, Chennai is always a fantastic ground to play Test cricket, to watch Test cricket. And it was great to see Michael Clarke starting off from where he's left away always in Test cricket and against India. He's one of the best players of spin in that particular batting lineup, so he got that 100. But I thought the best part about Australia in this particular Test match was the arrival of Moses Henriques on the Test scene. As Michael Clarke pointed out in the press conference, he's somebody who's come across, just climbing through the domestic cricket ladder in Australia in their particular scene. So it's really good to see some youngster who's been playing List A cricket, who's been playing T20 cricket, who's been playing the IPL, and obviously playing first-class cricket back at home in Sheffield Shield. And he's just come through the ranks, and now he's doing well in Test cricket. Mind you, India is not the easiest of places to make your Test debut in. And the way he batted, obviously he's not really fleet-footed against spin as Michael Clarke is. But the way he batted, he was willing to go forward, he was willing to stay, he was willing to grind out and score runs. So that was the best part about his innings. And I think that is the most positive thing for Australia in this particular Test series. Apart from that, I thought their team selection didn't really, induce any confidence going into the Test match. We saw England make the same mistake going into just the one spinner in the first Test. Yes, it's good to back your strength, but when you're playing 4 bowlers plus a bowling all-rounder, you cannot have 4 medium pacers playing a Test match in India. You need to have 2 spinners, and it's not just about the quality of Nathan Lyon or the lone spinner that you're trying to play. It's about sharing the load. Nathan Lyon was struck for 200 runs in this particular Test match in just the one innings. So that says a lot about the amount of pressure on his bowling alone. So if you have 2 spinners, I'm not saying they'll go for 100 runs each. I'm just saying that it shares the load. Probably you'll have more quality. Probably you'll have more variation in your attack. So you cannot go in with 5 bowlers and just play the one spinner. Probably 4 bowlers only, then maybe you can go in with 1 spinner. But Australia hedged their bowling attack by playing Moses Henriques. And obviously this is a conundrum going ahead for the second Test, but more about that later. We have to talk now about the Indian team. And, for once, everything clicked. And when I say everything, I'm just mean the bowling, the fielding, and the batting. There were particular individuals in the side who stood up, put their hand up. I thought Cheteshwar Pujara and Sachin Tendulkar had an immense partnership at the right time. Sachin Tendulkar played absolutely positively. I haven't seen him play like that in the last 1.5 years. After the World Cup at least, he was very positive, was playing attacking shots as soon as he came to the crease. Virat Kohli just carried on from where he left off in Nagpur against England, and that is very heartening to see from an Indian point of view, because this is the man, along with Cheteshwar Pujara, who has to score runs for India in Test cricket from here on in. and they have to score runs very, very consistently. Mahendra Singh Dhoni coming at number 6 has been a revelation, and the way he came in, I think he played an innings of contrast from his last test match. He got a 99 there, he got a double 100 here, and the way he came in and charged and started hitting runs, that was a very, very crucial spell, because James Pattinson was bowling very, very well. Nathan Lyon was on top, and he had got Sachin Tendulkar out just then, and he just changed the game entirely. And to get a double 100 in less than 3 sessions, and it was a magical day of Test cricket. It was a magical day of cricket on Sunday for a full house at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. And MS Dhoni has had to score runs, probably because he's now batting a spot higher at number 6. Ravindra Jadeja is at number 7 or 8, and his batting doesn't inspire that much confidence. But again, MS Dhoni was monumental, and as was R. Ashwin, 12 wickets in the match. He did so against the Kiwis in Hyderabad as well. The England series was a bit of an off turn for him, but again, the Indian cricketers were very, very eager to do well in that particular test series. Ashwin is a bowler who has a lot of variations, but what he needs is a consistency of line and length in his bowling, and that was coming through. You can always have variations, but you need to be consistent in your line and length, and then you can go about experimenting. And again, the second innings was a bit of a collapse. It was always on the cards. India had taken a huge lead. Victory was always on the cards, but Australia will want to think about their batting order, their bowling combination in the second test. I think they were beaten comprehensively by India in this first test match.
They certainly were, and you mentioned there Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Mahendra Singh Dhoni getting runs, and I wanted to sort of ask you about how important it was for those to get runs, because Dhoni certainly has been under pressure, people saying he shouldn't be captain, people saying he shouldn't be playing. Tendulkar, given the fact that he hadn't scored runs for a long period, was under a little bit of pressure, and it was very important for them to, as you say, sort of stand up and be counted.
Yes, I think, as I said earlier, their partnership was one. Sachin Tendulkar and Virat Kohli's partnership was one where, it came at a very crucial time. If you look at one of the key areas for India in this test match has been their openers, and it has been a problem for Indian cricket for the last 3 years now, with only Virendra Sehwag having one test 100. Gautam Gambhir has no test 100s to show for in the last 3 years. It just really shows, because in Test cricket, if you do not have good openers, if your number 3 and number 4 batsmen are always batting with the score on 10 and the wickets down 2, it doesn't really bode well for your team, because number 3, 4, 5, 6 need the openers to fire, need to blunt the new ball so that they can come in and score runs. Virendra Sehwag is not somebody who blunts the ball. But the way he goes onto the attack, that blunts the opposition. However, he's not been doing that for a long time now. India has changed the other opener, Gautam Gambhir. They've brought in Mulle Vijay. He played 2 loose shots in 2 innings, so he'll be on the watch. He'll be on the watch in the second test in Hyderabad if he plays. We'll come back to that later. But again, when you're down to 2 wickets for 12 runs, just 12 runs, then you have somebody like Cheteshwar Pujara coming in who plays very, very calmly. He's not flustered by the situation. Then you have Sachin Tendulkar again. Sachin Tendulkar could have been a weak point for the Indian batting lineup given his frame of mind, but he's been very, very positive. He's got a couple of hundreds in domestic cricket coming into the series. He's batted well, his feet are moving well, and he's looking to score runs. He's looking to dominate the bowlers again, and that was, I think, the hallmark of their partnership. And then Virat Kohli comes in, as I said, he's just carried on from Nagpur. He was very, very watchful early on. He was trying to play close to the body. He was playing square of the wicket. He was not playing down the ground so that the edges wouldn't come. He wouldn't give away any edges. He saw the fielders were there at cover and mid-wicket. And I think that has been a very, very strong point for Virat Kohli, because against England in the first 3 test matches, he was looking to cover drive the ball, looking to play in the V, and that is why he was getting out, because England had such good field settings for him. But here, again, Australia also had good field settings for him, but he negated that, and that is very, very heartening to see. Yes, MS Dhoni batted very well, but I think India really need to thank number 3, 4 and 5 for the way they batted and provided a platform to MS Dhoni to come and play a counter-attacking innings.
Now, what about the spin bowling in that test, Chetan? India, of course, named 3 spinners, Harbhajan Singh, Ravi Ashwin and Ravi Jadeja. Ashwin obviously did the bulk of the wicket-taking, but what about the others?
Well, let's talk about Ashwin first. Yes, he's worked with his coach here after the England series. There was There was a bit of an error in his bowling stride. That's what he admitted in the press conference. And I spoke with his coach as well, Mr. Sunil Subramaniam, and that's what he pointed out, that there was a bit of an error creeping up in his delivery stride, and he worked on that. He improved that. And that is what you want to see, bowlers who can go back to their coaches, who can go back to the drawing board and work on their bowling again. And he's done well since then. He's taken up 12 wickets in this match. Probably he's become again India's prime bowler. But moving on from Ravichandran and Ashwin, you really have to see what is the usefulness of playing 5 bowlers. You have Bhuvneshwar Kumar, you have Ishant Sharma, and then you have 2 spinners in terms of off spinners, Ashwin and Harbhajan Singh. Then you have a 5th bowler, Ravindra Jadeja, who's more of a hedging bet really, because if one spinner doesn't work, then you can throw the ball at Jadeja. He's bowled more overs than Harbhajan Singh in this test match. He's taken a few more wickets than Harbhajan Singh, and he's been a little more economical. So you can say Harbhajan Singh was your 3rd best spinner in this test. But even so, 20 wickets to the spinners just shows that there is an inherent weakness in the Aussie batting lineup against Swain bowling. Apart from that, was it the best bowling attack that India played? I think India have become comfortable with the fact that Dhoni bats at number 6 and Jadeja plays as a hedging bet for their bowling in terms of 5 spinners. He does that because probably he doesn't have the strike force of somebody like Zahir Khan anymore, so he has to rely on his slow bowlers. I think there was a case for playing just the 1 fast bowler and three spinners. Probably that would have worked as well, because it's not just about playing the numbers; it's about the quality as well. I think Pragyan Oja is a much more quality off spinner, left arm spinner than Ravindra Jadeja. And then playing 4 bowlers with 3 spinners and one paceman with Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who can also bat a bit. Ishant Sharma, I don't think he was of any particular use in this particular test match. So you play 4 bowlers, you play Pragyan Oja, you play Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who can bat a bit, and then you are also able to play an extra batsman. Because, if the top order had failed, then India would not have got those 570 odd runs, and the match would have been equal. And the number of game in cricket is such that is bound to happen sooner rather than later in this particular test series. So perhaps India need to revisit their bowling combination, but I think MS Dhoni will not touch his bowling combination. I think the only toss-up is whether we have an even further spinning pitch, and whether he sees a use of playing an extra seam bowler or an extra spinner, or whether he plays an extra batsman. So the bowling combination is something that needs to be seen for the second test match. But again, it will depend on how many spinners MS Dhoni wants to play.
Now, Chetan, moving on to Hyderabad now. Earlier in the month, of course, it was hit by a bomb blast, and there was a little bit of talk perhaps that the test might be under threat, but that seemingly is not the case. Are you aware of any sort of heightened security, and if so, is that something you think will bother the players at all?
I've reached Hyderabad today morning, and the first thing I see is on the newspapers, the Indian team out in the markets having Bengali food, Hyderabadi food. I think the situation has calmed down a lot. There were quite a few political things happening in the country at that time, and probably that sad incident was a result of that, which is not condoning it, obviously, but just pointing out as to where the problem was. Mm-hmm. But the Indian government has given assurances to the Australian team and the Australian media camp here that they'll be provided with absolute security. And I think that was the case in Chennai as well. I don't really think that there is anything to worry about. I think the situation is calm. People are going about their business, carrying on with their work. The teams are practicing at the stadium as we speak. There was also a press conference with Shane Watson today. So I think the situation is calm. I think we'll have a good test match. We'll have good 5 days of cricket ahead of us.
Let's hope so. And finally, any anticipated changes that you think that both teams should and perhaps will make ahead of this game?
I think for Australia, they really need to bring in an extra spinner, and probably it'll be Glenn Maxwell, because he can bat a bit as well. I'm not sure if they want to bring in Xavier Doherty, although he's a left-arm spinner, and probably, if we have another pitch like the sort of Chennai we saw, if we have a similar pitch in Hyderabad, then the rough outside the right-handed batsman's leg stump is something that he could exploit. But I'm not sure if Australia will want to go ahead with him, because they had a batting failure, and also David Warner is still suffering from his stomach upset. So he missed training today, so we're not sure if he's going to play this test match. We'll probably know tomorrow. I think the second spinner is really something that that Australia will be looking at. And if they bring in Glenn Maxwell, then it's interesting to see who they'll be dropping. I think they'll probably drop Peter Siddle, but again, it's about experience as well. So Mitchell Starc was, I thought, really struggling, probably not getting that reverse swing going, was really struggling with the conditions. He didn't really take any wickets. So maybe they might go in with Peter Siddle. But then again, if they drop David Warner and Shane Watson comes out too open, then they might just go in for a straight swap of David Warner with Glenn Maxwell. So that's about the Australian side. From what we have gathered here about the Indian team, I think Murali Vijay is still going to continue in the second test match. And the same opening pairing of Murali Vijay and Virendra Sehwag. Ravindra Jadeja is sure to play because Dhoni doesn't like to change his team settings too much, especially when the team is winning. I think the only toss-up is whether Ishant Sharma is of any use in this particular test match. Will he be of any use in the Hyderabad test match as well, and whether you want to play Pragyan Oja and go in with 4 spinners. But I'm not really sure about that, because whenever you go in with 4 spinners and 2 off spinners and 2 left-arm spinners, somebody will get under-bowled. So I think India might go in with an unchanged side. Australia probably will play an extra spinner, and we don't really